Hey, First Baptist, Pastor Kaleb here. So when I first became a Christian and surrendered my heart to the Lord at 18, one of the ways that I really grew in my faith and knowledge of the Bible and many aspects of being a Christian was through YouTube sermons and teachings from pastors that I learned to love and trust. And so online media is a great resource for you to study the Bible and use for helps in your daily time and as a family. And so I would greatly encourage you during this time and this season where we're not meeting as a church for you to take advantage of that. Now, it's not ideal because as I grew and matured as a Christian, even the more I studied my Bible, I learned that I needed to meet with other believers. I needed to gather in worship service as a church. I needed to be a member of a local church and be held accountable. I needed to have face-to-face interaction of discipleship and in terms of emotions and being together and loving one another. And that's needed. Even in a digital age, that's needed. But we can't do that right now. And so we are thankful that the Lord has given us other avenues to be taught and to learn in this digital age. And so one of the avenues that we use at First Baptist is RightNow Media. So RightNow Media is kind of like a Netflix for Bible teaching and studies. And so we pay a monthly cost to RightNow Media, a monthly payment. And it's open to any of our church members after that. And so what we would simply need from you is your email address. So you send us your email address, make sure we have it, and then we will send you an invitation through the email, and you can just simply click accept, and then you just set up a username and password. And so with that username and password, you then have free reign and access to the website to be able to access all of its teachings and videos. And so I just want to kind of give you a breakdown of what RightNow Media has to offer. So the first thing you would come to if you use a laptop or a desktop would be a homepage like this. Now, it's also available in a smartphone app or on a smart TV channel, Roku channel, or things like that. But on the desktop, this is what it's going to look like. So homepage here, categories on the left here, just through words and text. And then in the middle, pictures of each Bible study that you can click on and access with the videos for each session of the Bible study. So the first thing I want to do is just show you what it has to offer for kids. So if you click up here on the top, the little kids button, that'll take you to the kids page. And so on the kids page, there's all kind of resources, just like there are for the adults. But in terms of things for kids, some of the things they have is just kind of family-friendly cartoons with good values like VeggieTales and Bible Man and Boz. But then if you really want to teach your children the Bible, I think one of the best resources you can tap into is What's in the Bible. So What's in the Bible was made by the same guy who made VeggieTales, but his goal was to really help children study the Bible, not just give them family-friendly cartoons and values, but understand what the gospel is and what each book of the Bible is about. And I think he does a really good job of that on What's in the Bible. So I would really encourage you to use that resource with your children. Another resource is Seeds Family Worship. And so these are great songs, even with motions for you to use as a family to sing. It's very engaging. Would encourage you to look that up. And then another thing is you can't find it in the kids section, but it's still for children. If you go over here to the left side and you scroll down and you click on History, so scroll down all the way to History, click there, and then if you'll scroll down close to the bottom, there are animated, kid-friendly studies and biographies for kids called Heroes of the Faith. Now, it's not as recent as some of the things I showed you earlier, so the animation is not as high quality. But the story and the truths of these heroes like Martin Luther and Harriet Tubman and John Wesley and Corrie ten Boom, these are great stories for your children to watch and learn from and how they were faithful to Christ in their age in which they lived. So we greatly encourage you with that. Now, with adults, I would encourage you to go back to the top, and then you just simply click on All Bible Studies. And so when you click on All Bible Studies, you go back to the home page here. You see all the same things in the middle and on the left. But if you're looking for topical studies, that would more easily be found on the left. So you have marriage and parenting and men and women and doctrine and theology and mental health and missions and finance. And I would just encourage you to click on any of that. And I trust all these videos. I wouldn't agree with every single thing in these videos. But I think they're all orthodox. They're all faithful teaching. It will encourage you just to watch any of them and be trained well from that in terms of that topic in which the teacher is teaching on. The next thing I would encourage you is just to find studies on books of the Bible. So you can find that on the left here. It is one of the topics, if you will, to click on. And so books of the Bible, and there are studies on almost every single book of the Bible. And so I would encourage you to find a great teacher and access those resources. So in terms of topical studies and studies on books of the Bible, here's some names. If you're looking for names, I would just encourage you with these. So if you're kind of just getting into this, maybe find a study by someone like Kyle Idleman or by Tony Evans. I think both of those would be really good teachers for someone just kind of getting their feet wet into this. More intermediate level, maybe find some studies by David Platt or Matt Chandler or J.D. Greer. I think would really be helpful. And if you're really looking for some advanced study of the Bible, either the biblical text or theology, I would encourage you to find some studies on here by Ligonier or Al Mohler or someone like that. All of that can be found on RightNow Media. If you can't find it directly, just go to the search bar at the top and then click on the search. You can just click Mohler, you can click Ligonier, you can click Sproul or something like that, and you can find those advanced studies as well that are really helpful. So another thing that's helpful on RightNow Media is study helps for you personally studying the Bible just with yourself. So not watching a video study, but just taking your Bible and studying it. But then you want kind of maybe a commentary or a help to help you work through the text. One of those great resources is the Bible Project. So these videos are from the Bible Project. Now they're by Tim Mackey. And so Bible Project, the name isn't on RightNow Media, but if you just search for Mackey, you'll find these videos. And he's done a great video on every book of the Bible that kind of gives you the basic overview. Maybe sometimes you're reading Exodus or Leviticus or Deuteronomy, you're getting lost. These are just great graphic drawings of a basic outline of what the book of the Bible is about, and then rightly interpreting it in light of the whole Bible, in light of Jesus' fulfillment of that book. And it's a really helpful resource. And then another one is Look at the Book by John Piper. So if you scroll down under Books of the Bible Studies, it's kind of close to the bottom, but click on these, and John Piper takes a different passage each time, and he kind of writes around it and with a digital marker and highlights things and gives you his interpretation, and he's really getting into the meat of the text. And I think that's really helpful for you to look at and to study. So another thing that RightNow Media has to offer is conferences. So these would be more of like a sermon rather than a Bible study if you want to listen to actual preaching. So if you click on conferences, there's conferences on all kinds of different topics. So leadership and how to work rightly and think about work as a Christian, women's conferences, missions conferences by the SIN Network and the North American Mission Board, even biblical counseling conferences, and even conferences by Shane and people like that on worship and biblical worship. And then conferences on theology. So you'll find things again here by Al Mohler and Ligonier and the Gospel Coalition, and just would encourage you to use this as a great resource to find those conference sessions and be blessed by them. So we want to give you every avenue we can give you to be able to be equipped during this time where you have a lot of free time and you're going to be tempted to do other things online or things of that nature. Now don't hesitate to use this free time to get outside with your kids and get your hands dirty and teach your kids. But one of the great ways that we can use our time during this time is not just to get on Netflix, but to get on something like this and be equipped and be nourished and be challenged both in our minds and in our hearts to love the Lord our God in a much greater way. And so this equips you to be a greater disciple so that then you can make disciples in your home and hopefully when we are no longer under restriction of how much we can get out and where we can go, you'll be ready to make disciples of all nations. And that's what we want to equip you to do. We love you. We're thankful for you. And we are thankful to be your pastors and be able to equip you here at First Baptist.